if the government ever becomes a tyranny, we're going to give you this gift. You get a chance to get together, get your commissioners together from all over the country and restrain that tyranny. But because it's never been done, we wanted to see it done. We want it to be tried out so people understand, how does it work? What kind of rules are there? What will be an interplay between commissioners? You know, when you're going to do something this important, it's important to practice.
Giving knowledge, information, vision, and hope. Hope that the federal government really can be curtailed and that this process really can work.
And this is the real deal. I mean, this is kind of the precursor to the real Super Bowl. Delegates, commissioners from all 50 states.
They're going to be able to go back home and talk to their fellow legislators and say, look, let me tell you exactly how it worked. I can tell you from firsthand, it can be done. It will be effective.
So I think there are people who've never even heard of it that are going to see this and be impressed. And I think that builds enthusiasm.
This is the defining moment and the last opportunity to get our republic right.
We need a solution as big as the problem.
There is nothing wrong with your screen. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling the messaging in this transmission. We will tell you the topics you may speak about. We will remove any speech we deem unfit. We will identify and protect you from all that is evil. You need only put your full trust in us. We are the government, and we are here to help.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Patriot Think Tank. I am on Tuesday Night Live this week because I will be taking a well-needed vacation for starting tomorrow in Mexico. So I will be heading out to Cancun. I will be gone next week. I will not be on the air likely at all. So don't think that I got banished or suspended or anything like that. I will still be there. It will be that full week. Won't be returning until Thursday. So on that note, today I got some cool stuff for you guys. So starting off, I have with me today Chris Garzino and Sheila Malloy. Chris Garzino is the state director of Convention Estates in New Jersey, and Sheila is the one of the district captains there. I'm going to bring them on in just a moment. They're going to talk about COSFEST that's coming up in New Jersey, the COSFEST 2023 event, which I hope that you will all jump onto. I have already added the link to register for the event. If you are some of my Jersey base, that link is already in the description of all channels except actually Rumble, which I just sent to that. So now it is in all platforms. So you can click on that link if you live in New Jersey or in the surrounding area and get a great educational experience. They're going to tell us more about that. I'm also going to be talking about, I got Black Rocks and Boycotts. So the new viral video from Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock. It's the actual video came out in 2017, but like most of the stuff that they tell us to our face, it just recently got discovered and is now becoming news. So we'll talk about that. And then the WHO and their vaccine passports that they have just announced as being official. So without any further ado, let me bring on Chris and Sheila. Hey guys, how we doing today?
Good. How are you, George?
Excellent. So Chris here is the state director, as I mentioned, of Convention Estates in New Jersey, which is an awesome position to be in. And then Sheila is also very active. Sheila is constantly pinging me about different things and whatnot. And she's on the ground, boots on the ground with running a district. What district is it that you run?
District 9.
District 9. And yeah. those go by the political districts, right? Those go by like where the
legislative voting districts. The state legislative voting districts.
There you go. So and we'll get into, maybe I'll let you explain that in a little bit, Sheila. I wanted to start with Chris. Chris, so I know you got COSFEST coming up, and I want to get into the details of that for New Jersey. But for the folks that aren't as familiar with convention of states or what this Article 5 movement is, or or even those who have watched my broadcast, but maybe they haven't caught the full description, they just heard me ranting about why it's so necessary. Maybe you could start us off just by giving us a breakdown of what it is that we claim to be so powerful.
Sure. So at its foundation, Article 5 of the Constitution is the ways that you can add amendments to the Constitution. So there's two clauses in Article 5. One allows for Congress to add amendments. The other is we, the people, through our state legislators, can add amendments. And the interesting story behind the second clause, or allowing we, the people, through our state legislators, the ability to add amendments, is up until 2 days prior to the adjournment of the Constitutional Convention, only Congress could add amendments. And Colonel George Mason gets up 2 days prior to the end of the convention. They were packing up and ready to go. And he says, wait a second, we have a problem with this Constitution. Only Congress can add amendments. If Congress grows tyrannical, they'll never reel themselves back in. And he proposed adding a clause to Amendment 5 that allows us as citizens, through our state legislators again, to add amendments. And, what he was concerned about, we're living today. It's a tyrannical government. So with that, Convention of States was formed back in 2013. We are a national organization with grassroots groups or volunteer groups in every state. And we're working in each state with our state legislators to try to have them pass our resolution. Our resolution calls for 3 areas of amendments to be added. The first would be term limits for federal officials and Congress. The second would be fiscal responsibility for our federal government. The last federal overreach of our government, and that would be really.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, we got some background noise there.
I got a. Sorry about that. I just had one random tab start going off with volume, and it was kind of override. I'm not sure why it did that, but my bad. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No problem. So then the last tenet again is federal ending federal overreach, and that really just puts Congress or puts the federal government back in the box that the Constitution laid out for it. So the way the process works is, as I said, we have groups, volunteer groups in each state working to have our resolution passed by our state legislators. Once we get 34 state legislators to pass our resolution, or 2/3, a convention of states has to be called by Congress, and their only involvement is the naming the time and place. Other than that, they're not involved at all, which is the beauty of this whole process. So, as the tyrannical government they are, they can't get involved. So once that's called, amendments are discussed and voted on, and whatever amendments are voted on coming out of the Convention of States, they go back to the states now for ratification, and at that point you need 3/4 or 38 states to ratify any amendment. So
and that's the federal government's lack of involvement, I think, is what people don't really understand. And even in that, right, we've all, even our generations, Chris, we've lost civics. Like, they weren't, I'm guessing you learned social studies too, right? In school. Yeah.
Yep.
So totally unaware was everyone, right, when they made that switch from civics to social studies. But like most Americans that I talk to now really don't have any idea how powerful the state legislatures were designed to be. Yep. I don't think that people grasp that.
No, and the problem is people get involved every 4 years when there's a presidential election, and everything else they ignore. And really their power base is in their state. That's where they should be paying the most attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, and for everyone, I try to hit this home all the time, is like, it's not about, like, yeah, I get into like right now, the big thing is DeSantis or Trump, right? Everybody's debating back and forth. Who do you like? And it's kind of splitting people up, and they're arguing and whatever. Like, to me, it's a do conversation, because I look at it like, no matter who wins, right? It's still, neither one of them have the power of the state legislatures to really get, really start swinging back, right? And really just like deal that first blow. Like, Trump winning another election is not going to deal that blow. Like, it'll make people feel good. It'll get them, it'll get them riled up and whatnot. But really, it's not going to change. It's not going to. There's no way any president's going to put fiscal restraints on the federal government or impose term limits or deal with the ever-growing power structure, right?
Very true. Very true. But most people don't understand that.
They don't. And that's why we're here.
Yes.
That's what all of us, right? I mean, you guys are doing it on the ground. I'm doing it on the channel. Like, we're coming at people from all angles. And that's really what's necessary, right? And there's some 5 million people now involved in the Convention of States movement nationwide. And like, I don't think people realize how big the reach is right now, as far as, if you go ahead, folks, let me just say it like this. You go, and I have a link on my website that takes you right to the petition. You go there, all right, and then you click on it. They'll send a letter on your behalf. But what's better is if you click the volunteer button, someone like local to you, like, and I don't know where you live, and I don't care. Someone local to you is going to reach out and be like, hey, we saw you click the volunteer button. We want to have, let's talk about this. They'll tell you first. I went through this. Like, first, we got to get you educated. I was already pretty well read at that time, but sure enough, there was always more to learn. And Cos University was a great avenue for that.
Yeah, it's a great asset we have.
It is. And what I like is that you guys make sure people educate themselves. Like, it's not just like show up at this rally. It's not like Marxists where they're just busting in doos from all over the world and they show up not even knowing what they're protesting for. Like these folks are educated. Like, before you even let them start speaking on your behalf or going out, it's like, no, first you need to understand, you need to understand the Constitution. You need to understand Article 5. You need to understand what the Soros groups, along with JBS and the rest of them, are saying against, because you need to be able to speak to it with facts. Like, you can't just get caught off guard. It's going to make someone else that hears you think that you're wrong, and I think that that's so important.
And the other part is, the more education you have, the more comfortable you are talking about Convention of States and Article 5. So the other thing I do want to point out, though, is, we do have our two missions are: one, to have a convention called for adding amendments, but two, it's to create the largest self-governing army or grassroots army in the country. And quite frankly, we've done that, and we continue to grow. And a lot of our volunteers are getting involved locally in politics, in school boards, in on town boards. And here in New Jersey, we have 2 of our volunteers who are running for state legislature this year. So yes, it is about adding amendments to the Constitution, but it's even more than that, because as our founding fathers knew, politics is best handled when done locally. So that's why, if you could affect it locally, you can make change.
Yeah, and that's another huge point. Go ahead, Sheila.
I would like to add on to that. That's where this is the best organization to volunteer from. The district captains, like, it's up to us to make sure, before you take them on as a volunteer activist, they take at least the first 2 courses to COS University. And you have to have a connection with these people, make them feel like they have a purpose, they're needed, and just that's where it starts, grassroots and building up. And that's the main thing I love about Convention of States, amongst the other many things, is that it's top or bottom up, top down. So it gives the district captains a lot of, well, to me, I think it's fun to reach out and go back through the dashboard. and see, people that signed a petition in 2018, and I'm seeing a big shift from when I first started, and people are like, "Oh, I'm not affected," to now where people are showing up at the meetings, they're reaching out to the e-blast. It's everybody's, as everybody's been affected. So
Yeah. In
this is
that
the
twisted sense, Biden is almost our best friend. Like
Yes, he is.
every new lunatic psycho thing that he goes and does, every time he falls down the stairs, every time he does, tries to pass some new wacky, a new executive order, each one affects different people. And as people get affected by it, I feel like the first thing they do is start looking for somewhere. How do I swing back? Like these guys, this is so big, this entity that I'm up against. How do I fight back? And I think, as to your point, Sheila, with the empowerment piece, I know I felt empowered the minute I realized that this was legit. Like I went through my normal process with it. I stumbled upon it early in the channel's days. We didn't start the channel out. Jack and I were starting the channel. We didn't start out specifically about Article 5. We just wanted to educate people as to how the legislative process works, how, and we were thinking, more on a federal level even than local. And then I stumbled upon this. And as I went through the process and I watched all the JBS garbage, I read all their material, Publius Holda and the rest of the Doot crew out there that are trying to scare everybody and, tell them all it's going to be apocalypse, all of them. And I realized quickly, and I think folks will realize this too, because I expect most of my viewers to do their due diligence with this as well. And I expect you to. One of the things I will tell you to do is when you're reading the hate, when you're reading the anti stuff, take the quote. When they start to quote founders, go find the real quote and put it in context. Because what you're find with them, and this is how I easily began to realize it became very clear in doing this, they quote Federalist Papers 40, which is like so, so pro cause and like, but like what? Well, in the sense that it debunks their argument that our original convention was a runaway. It's Madison explaining exactly why they did what they did, and they took a quote from the very bottom. I forget the exact quote. I just remember the moment where I looked it up, read the whole Federalist paper, realized their quote was all the way on the bottom, and left out all of the information behind it. Whereas Kaz was talking about the whole paper, and it's that way all the time with Scalia, right? They tried to act like Scalia was anti-convention of states. Meanwhile, he's got a full blown. I play the quote all the time of him being like, "I just want to see it done once." So, like,
yep,
it's important. It's just important for folks out there, join in. If you're tired of just playing defense every day and waking up and seeing in the news the next dictatorship type thing that's coming out of our weaponized government, and you every morning, we got to stop that. We got to stop that. It's time that we turn the thinking around, and now we got to start that, right? We got to start this. We got to get this. Let them wake up every morning wondering what you're doing,
Well, the question for all of our detractors is, what's your solution then to end the overreach, to end the spending? What's your solution? And unfortunately, none of them have a solution. Their solution is education and voting, which I think we've been doing for quite a while now. Well, maybe not the education part, but at least the voting part. And what you see from our resolution is our resolution is not policy based; it's structured based. Because what Michael Farris and Mark Meckler realized when they set up Convention of States is that the issue is not good people being voted into office. The issue is once good people are voted into office, they get sucked up by the swamp because the swamp is the problem. So the structure needs to be reset. Right.
Yep.
The structure needs to be reset, and that's what we're all about is structure.
No, I agree, and you guys have a great approach too. Like as I mean, I listen a lot to Mark Meckler, just in different cause videos and things like that. He's a great storyteller. The Levi Preston one, he got me with that one. I was like,
He's a great speaker.
He is. And you know, and he was talking about how, I mean, he, for those that don't know, you know, Meckler was one of the co-founders of the Tea Party, and you know, they got a ton of people who they knew, you know, and they knew we're not sellouts or rhinos or you know, whatever your name for it is, and you know, they went in and got eaten by the machine in a matter of months, right? I mean, that's how he got on this whole thing, right? It was because he just watched them all get dissolved, and he didn't even know these people anymore.
Well, the story he tells is, I guess it was 2012 when they had the run of all the Tea Party candidates being elected, that, you know, his movement helped get them elected. And shortly thereafter their election, he couldn't get any of the them on the phone. None of the congressmen, none of the senators, they weren't returning his calls anymore. So, like, to your point, George, it didn't take long for them to be, you know, sucked into the swamp.
Right.
And that's when he realized that something had to change.
And he found a great solution, the way I see it. I mean, I think what a lot of people don't understand about why Article 5 is the only way is that because they're like, oh, well, we don't follow the Constitution now. And it's like, well, yes, we do. You know, it's just that 3,000-page annotated monstrosity. And that kind of gets to the heart of it, is that, and why Article 5 is the only way, because these are all Supreme Court decisions, really, that have vaguely and poorly interpreted the Constitution over the course of a century. It's like death by 1,000 cuts, and then all of a sudden you just realize you're bleeding to death. And it's like, you know, the only way to overturn Supreme Court decisions that are faulty, especially when there are so many, is through constitutional amendment, right? Like, so many people think the Supreme Court's the final word. It's like, no, we the people are. And that's really the power of Article 5. Is it's like they're not the final word. Like, we are. I just wish more people would catch that.
The Supreme Court was supposed to have the least amount of power of the three.
Right, exactly. And the way it turns out is through their definitions. It's, you know, it drives me nuts. But in the end, I just wanted to get that point that it was, you know, it's the Supreme Court really over the last century or more that has really gotten us into this trouble. And the only way to deal with the Supreme Court, because they're not going to do it themselves, you know, they hang on precedent like it's, you know, like it's constitutional law, and it's not. Like it's a decision. But as long as they're going to be that way, well, the adult has to enter the room and make some decisions, and that's what this does, right? That's what this does. All right. So tell me a little bit about COSFEST. How are we going down here with COSFEST?
Sheila?
Sheila, you take it.
Okay. First, I want to say hi to Michael Arnold. He's on, state director from Massachusetts. We love him. So COSFEST this year is going to be a little bit different than last year, which is going to be really good. We're going to have 4 pastors, well, 3 pastors, a deacon. They're going to speak. We have Mark Meckler coming out to speak, and it's going to be a really good time. We have all kinds of literature. We're going to have people working around the vestibule, greeting people, saying hello, getting them to sign petitions. We have plenty of information, literature out there to pass off. We'll be able to educate people and hopefully bring more people into this organization, because it truly is the best. It's the only way to drain the swamp. And I just want everybody to come out and experience a really nice patriotic day. And also, you know, like we're always saying, we need more volunteers. And I just want to make a comment on that, off of what you said earlier, George. You sign up and you sign the volunteer interest. I'm the person that gets in touch with you, the district captain and the follow-ups. And, you know, it's just great. Get involved. We will train you. We will teach you. We will educate you. Connection, education, and activation. but it's going to be a good time. We got some raffle. We got a raffle going on. We have some other little kitschy things to give to those that are coming out. Just what else are you going to do on a Saturday?
There you go.
Join like-minded people.
And you got to meet my brother last time, right? At the last one. He
did.
showed up last year, drove his bike down there.
I sent you the picture.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. I wish I really want. I have to go to one of these. I mean, Chris, I don't know if you remember. Like, all my family lives in Jersey, so like it's. I go back and forth. Although I just couldn't make this one work, but like because of the Mexico thing and everything. But I'm in and out of there all the time, so I'm like dying to catch the right vibe where I can figure out to cross these dates in one of these events and like show up.
Well,
and
next year when you're planning your vacation, you got to let us know so we could tell you when COSFEST is going to be. And
there you
plan
go.
it around that.
There you go.
Making a surprise appearance here in New Jersey. We got some things in the works. Me and George are always networking.
I would absolutely love it. I mean, Cali is kind of a zombie land in general. We got a small force out here when I first signed up. I'm not sure who the district captain is at the moment. I think she just recently stepped down, the one that was here. So I got to get the new address. I was just talking to Sheila about this, about getting me the new contacts. But there's definitely a group out here. Where I live is more conservative, though. So we'll get those groups who are more constitutionally minded. And, having a group in L.A., I don't know. But I don't even know if I'd want to go to L.A. to find out,
So come help us out in Jersey.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure. And I always want to help in any way that I can. I made them some videos in the past for like veterans promotions and stuff like that. So, but it's exciting. So when is it? When are we looking at having the event?
July 17th, Saturday.
June 17th.
I mean, June 17th. Thank you, Chris. From 3 to 5:30.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, it's an easy way for people to come, meet other like-minded people and, hear about Convention of States, learn more about the organization, learn about our progress. And, you're going to hear, I mean, Mark Meckler is a very charismatic, great speaker.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like Sheila said, we're going to have some pastors come. And really, it's, their part is really to set the record straight on the our founding fathers and their faith, because we hear from our opponents and detractors that our founding fathers, didn't believe in God, or they had no faith, or they didn't believe in a higher being, whatever it was, and that's simply not the case. And
they were lawless, right? They ran away with the Constitution, all this nonsense.
And the Constitution itself is living proof that is not the case. So we're going to set that record right.
Perfect.
So it's going to be a nice event.
Yep. And everyone, just as a last tick, the link for registering for the Jersey event. So if you are some of our Jersey folk, whether you're watching this live or you catch it afterwards, the link is in all the platforms comments. You just click on that link. There'll be a registration form there. It just helps everybody know, get an idea of how many people to expect, and allows for the planning and for the event to go better. So just, make sure that you go ahead and click that link, get yourself registered. I'm guessing there's a reminder email that would probably go to people, right? Or no? I don't know.
I don't know if there's a reminder. If there's not a reminder email, but we'll nag you to sign up. So that'll be the reminder.
There you go.
Yes.
Hey, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys and all you do in New Jersey, and keep up the fight there. And folks, make sure you're reaching out, right? Click that. Don't just sign the petition, folks. Click the volunteer button. And if for nothing else, folks, it's an amazing civics lesson watching this process go down. And there's nothing bad that comes from it. It is all good. Empower yourselves, right?
Conventionofstates.com to learn more about us.
There you go. All right.
Thanks for the
time. Thank you very much, guys.
Trip.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
All right, folks. So there you had Chris Garzino and Sheila Malloy from New Jersey. Awesome people. I get to, one of the cool things about cause is that, and I was supposed to only go 15 minutes, but I can't. When I do cause, I gotta get into it. So always remember, also, folks, on the broadcast. I know I'm on Tuesday tonight, but we're normally on Wednesday nights, every Wednesday night, 5:30. This week was Tuesday because I am going to Mexico. Next week I will not be on. But do not fear, I did not get banned or shadow banned or taken down. It's just I'm on vacation. So I may try and jump on that extra weekend after just to say hello and make sure I can validate for everyone that I am still around. But I definitely appreciate those guys being on. And if you are in the Jersey area, I know we got a good, decent following in Jersey. Make sure you're heading out there and representing. It's a great learning experience, and really, and I'm gonna keep on this. I ain't letting Article 5 go. The reality is, it is the only way. All right, so I want to get on to another topic here. The video that I released earlier in the week. Regarding BlackRock. Now, that went viral, or it's starting to go viral now, and it's starting to pick up traction. And it's an older video, which I'm going to play for you, regarding Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock. And it ties directly in to, and it's probably why this showed up in my feed, it ties directly into what I've been saying about these boycotts and how they work and why the woke companies do it. And I've been saying this for over a year, but in this, to hear it from him is definitely powerful. And, and what I've been saying is that BlackRock is really just a weapon, all right, of, you could say WEF, I say CCP. It depends what level of the chain you want to get into, right? CCP, as I tell you, I believe is fully at the top. And the minions, whether it's WHO, WEF, whatever else, purporting the destruction of American culture and American identity, these are the people that, that BlackRock is used as a weapon. These are the people that use BlackRock as a weapon, I'm sorry. And what they do and the way they do it is that BlackRock owns $20 trillion. Not owns, they don't own anything, actually. They manage some $20 trillion. There's different reports of how much money they manage. It ranges from like 9 to 20 trillion. That's a lot of freaking money. It's more than any other investment company on earth. All right. And they manage other people's money, pension funds, California's pension fund. DeSantis, by the way, as I should make a note, has pulled all Florida pension funds and investments away from BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. So they are no longer managing. And there's a couple other states. It's not just DeSantis, but as has been the trend lately, DeSantis did it first, and now other governors are. Louisiana did it as well. There's a few out there. So hopefully that becomes a trend as well. So they hold on to all this money. It's our money, essentially. It's the people, anyone with a 401k or any type of retirement fund that you have vested in some mutual fund, likely in some way rolls up to BlackRock. If you're a state worker virtually anywhere and you have a pension going, with the exception of the couple of states I mentioned, your money is being managed by BlackRock. And they're using this money to force companies into ESG compliance. Environmental, social governance, and governance meaning internal governance. So that's where all the crazy training programs and, with Coca-Cola training their employees to be less white, that's where all those things come from. All right. And the more they ram this crap down your throat, right? Like the Bud Light can or Target with the tuck, children bathing suits or whatever, the more they ram this stuff down your throat, the better their ESG score gets. And it's because, and people have been saying, nowadays there are more people who are accepting what I've been saying, that it has always been BlackRock, but now you're hearing it from them, right? So listen to Larry Fink explain how they're controlling. So the big thing to learn here, folks, is that these corporations that everybody thinks are running the world are nothing but beholden. Okay, they're nothing but knock around toys for the powers that be. Money is very limited in how much power it can provide on a global scale. It's why I tell people the Rothschilds, they have no army. They can only buy what is for sale. Their power is limited in that way. When you deal with psychopaths like Xi Jinping, money is a byproduct of power. Power is not necessarily at his level a byproduct of money. And so listen to Larry Fink, and you tell me what you think in the comments.
But you now make a point of that's an investment criteria for you.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors. 54% of the incoming class are women. We added 4 more points in terms of diverse employment this year, and what we are doing internally is if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted. Okay,
we're doing the same thing.
And so it's just you have to force behaviors, and if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted, and that's not recruiting, it is development, as Ken said. And ultimately, it's still going to take time, but I am just as much shocked as Ken is that we have not seen more opportunities, and we're going to have to force change.
Oh, he's going to have to force change because we tried, right? We tried asking nicely for everyone to just bow to Marxism, but this pesky United States, they got this whole Constitution thing going on, and it's just like they just won't let it go. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, the guy is a do on the umph level, right? But he's a tool, right? He's a tool for these folks to use for the sake of power, and he's not alone. Okay, BlackRock's not like there's a team of these investment firms out there that have been knocked to their knees by real power. Okay, not money power, right? But real power. Now, yeah, they're being bought for sure, but they're not gonna be going against those people. People like Larry Fink, right? The heads of Vanguard, State Street, even the big 4, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, those are all the privately held major investment companies. These people are going to go where the money is, right? They're going to go. These are the people who think money is power. They think they have some power, these people. These people don't have power, okay? Even the stooge Klaus Schwab, all right, who's literally like Xi Jinping just went into the 80s and pulled out a friggin' villain and dressed him up in that little space suit and sent him out there. Let me see. Deep German accent, check. Wears funky clothes that look evil, check. Let's put him out there and let's go ahead and build an evil empire, right? I mean, all these people are minions, all of them. And so this is why I say it was so important that we had the boycotts. And it's not that we had boycotts. It's the success of the boycott. And this is what I was saying, and this is what I was saying as far as like different he is a control freak, Liz, you're right. And this is what I'm saying. When it comes to boycotts, if they last the way they did with Budweiser, this is their importance, is that they showed us the light, right? They showed us that because the other boycotts never stick. They never stick because everyone gets mad. The stock market dumps some stock, right? It's all a racket. The stock market dumps some stock. Then they say, then the news reports it. The media picks it up. Look how much money this company lost. It's $5 billion, $6 billion. Even with Bud Light, initially, they lost that $6 billion. And almost the same week, it started climbing back up again. And why? Because BlackRock is now buying the stock. BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, the whole 9 are now buying the stock at the lower value because they're even some of the ones who are selling it off. You follow me? They sell it off, let it drop in value because they know it's going to drop in value. Then the media has something to write about. So all the Jesse Waters and folks and, Hannity and whatever, Hannity and all these, they get on the air and they talk about, oh, we're up to $6 billion lost. But those guys never pick up the story again when BlackRock goes back in, rebuys that stock, and brings it back to its normal value, making billions. Because the entire thing depends on you forgetting. The entire thing depends on, you seeing that you watch the media, you see, oh, all right, yeah, go broke, go woke, go broke. And then you stop. And then you just go about your business and you start buying that stuff again. And then boom. And that's what they're banking on. But with Bud Light, what that showed us, and now with Target, they're not coming. Bud Light's a toxic beer right now. Even people that have nothing to do with this issue don't want to touch Bud Light. And that was evident when you see all of these stadiums and the huge line for whatever it may be that's next to the Bud Light counter and nobody wanting to get off that line to get a Bud Light. Now, as a beer drinker, I can tell you that would never fly with me. It would in a Bud Light situation, but in any other situation, if there's an empty beer line, you're going to be like, I'm getting off and I'm going to that beer line. So give me 1 second, folks. My apologies. I have a dog who decides that they're going to decide. My wife comes home and the dog's like, I'm going to sit here and cry until you open this door. So it is what it is. But back on topic, that's how the process works, right? So they go in, they buy it back, they make billions. Everyone thinks they won, and then the company comes right back, and then we forget that it ever happened. Didn't happen with Bud Light, didn't happen with Target, and now we've got this doo-doo on tape saying exactly what we've been saying. And this has been available for a while, but it's like, how much footage can you go through, right? So somebody finally comes across this footage, and it's like, oh, here we go. And this is the story with the WEF in total, right? This is their story all the way through. So I just wanted to point that video out in case you did not see. I did lead in my last video with that as the intro because it was still hot at the time, and I want people to watch the video. Now, the other issue that I wanted to go over with you guys, and I'm trying desperately to stay on schedule. Does anyone see that I'm like trying desperately to stay on schedule? The other video that I want, it's not even a video actually. It's an article from the Epoch Times, which, as you know, I always promote. And I am desperately trying to share my screen here, but I want to show you. I want to put the article up while I'm going through it so that you can see it. Now, to get this article, all right, just so you know, it does require a subscription, all right, to Epoch Times. But I'm telling you, between the China documentary, they just put out a new COVID documentary. These are like the kings of COVID awareness. They have been all over COVID since March, and so this is a beast mode type of deal. So let me get into this. So the WHO, many of you have been freaking out about WHO and these treaties that they want to sign, and the U.S. they think they're going to govern the U.S. and they're going to sign on with it and this and that. And I'm always the one in the messenger that tells you back, of all the things there are to worry about in this world, that is not one of them. And I still stand by that. So I understand now, Europe has this vaccine passport already in play. I did not know that. I learned that. However, it's a very different animal, as is everything that happens around the world, to happen in the United States. And I don't want to say nothing can't happen, but I am saying that it's virtually impossible for an outside entity to be able to take control of anything in the United States, certainly not some private institution like the WHO. And Are they trying? Absolutely. Did they just adopt this European-style COVID-19 passport as the new global health digital initiative? Absolutely. But does that translate into, and you're going to see channels that tell you this. So this is why, with the clickbait and the whole nine, and I want to make sure that you understand that that's not going to happen. All right. At least in the US. There's just it would be the messiest thing ever if they tried. Now, can I tell you that states like California and New York City will not try to comply with this, with whatever the WHO says? No, I cannot tell you that. They will probably try to comply. But that will not be because we didn't have this treaty and nonsense before, and California and New York and these wacko states were doing it anyway. All right. And I think even in those states, good luck trying that twice. I don't know what round 2 is going to look like, but I know something's coming. There's some kind of catastrophe coming where they're going to try and claim them, or like that was a test run for sure. I mean, whether they did it specifically as a test run or did it out of opportunity, that I ain't commenting on, at least as long as I'm still streaming to YouTube. But in the end, even if it just happened and they saw an opportunity to see how much compliance they can get, certainly they spent some time doing that, right? I think we all know how that went down. There were some states that had no shortage of seeing just how much ridiculous stuff they could make you do. Right? When people walking in restaurants, put your mask on when you stand up, take it off when you sit down. COVID doesn't go down here. So then, if you're going to go to the bathroom, though, there's a lot of COVID on the way to the bathroom. Put it on again, and all of that, all of these ridiculous things that they made people do, and many people did willingly. That was the experiment, if you will, a nice social experiment to see just, hey, we got a pandemic on our hands. Let's not let this go to waste. and so the game was played. And so the WHO the CCP is going to try, and there are other stories out right now saying that that these organizations are trying to implement social point score systems, which we've been telling you forever. Of course, they'll do it through carbon, right? And that's going to be the carbon tracker. Like, folks, if you're a part, I know most of the viewers of this channel are not, but if you're a part of the climate cult, and that's what it is, it's a cult, right down to calling people who ask a question deniers, like it's a cult. All right. And if you're in that cult, I can't help you. There's not a lot that I can do for you. But if you're not in that cult, if you are reasonable, if you ask questions, if you're not the question asking type, I can't imagine you following this channel ever. I just can't imagine that. It's unthinkable. But if you are and you stumble upon it, it is what it is. But for those who do think, and for those who do ask questions, we looked through this article, all right? So we know that there's no way that we're going to allow the type of stuff that happened last time to happen again, right? And there are the Allegiant out there, and I talk about this as well with the conformity studies, right, and mass formation studies, all in line. 30% are all in for the psychosis. 40%, which is probably the people I'm talking about right now, who aren't in. They know it's not true, but they don't want to make waves. And then the 30% who sit in my camp and are just like, screw this, it's not true, and I'm not dealing with it if it's not true. Well, if you're in that 40% is what I'm talking about, all right, it's you who needs to step up. It's you who needs to make sense of the things that are going on here, because, and when you see clickbait stuff and this is not a clickbait one right here, and I'll actually I'll put this into the chats so that everybody has it. But this is not clickbait here, but you know that every one of us has been drilled into or sucked into one of those clickbait articles where, we saw the WHO treaty was coming. I mean, I got sucked in once or twice before I realized this was never going to happen. But don't let that happen to you, right? Don't let that happen to you, because what's going to happen when you look. Sorry, I'm getting confused by my other screen. I need a producer really bad. So, so when you really look at the facts and you really start to ask these questions, if you're out there and you're in that 40% and you're just going along, you're playing along to get along, and as a result, what you're doing is you're convincing the other crazy 30% that 70% of the population are in line with them, and that's not okay. That's not okay. You need to, we're past the point. You don't get to say, if you're that person who says, I don't do politics, right? We all know that person. I don't do politics. That's not okay now. You can't do that now. You can't do that now, because we need you to start opening your freaking eyes. And what's worse is that your eyes are open and you just, these are the people who are willing to give up everything just to be able, just leave me alone. Let me go to the grocery store. Let me travel. Just let me do, please let me have my freedom back. Like, that needs to stop. And whether it's WHO trying to do vaccine passports, you know where that's headed, right? You know what they're trying to accomplish with that. They're trying to get digital IDs and digital, that's all, CBDC would be tied to that. It would all be in one game, right? Social points, the whole nine. We cannot allow the United States will not willingly live in that world. The United States will not willingly live in that world. And the Constitution is holding it down for us. For those that think that it's been subverted at all, they're trying to. There's a difference. It's taken them 70 years to get to this point. This is between the Soviet Union and the CCP. It has taken them 70 years to get to this point. And the only thing they've really done is made idiots out of our children. And not even all of our children. Just the one, they made idiots out of their parents, who then made idiots out of their children. But I mean, that's the biggest accomplishment they really have after friggin' 70 years of trying. Why? Because the Constitution doesn't allow them to control the situation fully. And if you're one of those 40%, you're literally trying to help them control the situation. And that needs to stop. The only way that this off 30% are going to figure out, and it's less than 30%, I can tell you, the wackier they get, the less that number goes. All right. Like, once they started walking into the realm of men having babies and nobody really having gender and all that nonsense, once they walk down that path, now they're losing people like crazy. Skylab says it started in 1280 AD. Yeah, well, I'm trying to focus on the most recent run, right? So the most recent run against America, all right, was started in the mid-50s. This is were there still forces out there that wanted to hurt? Yes, there were. But there were not forces that were capable of executing what they put in place. They wanted to, but they could not. They could not. Wild Stallion, how are you, sir? Notice that the left-wingers claim to be pro-environment and for population control. However, in reality, when they are also open immigration, that does nothing but increase population and pollution. So, well, the population thing, nothing's increasing population right now. We're really in a crisis, and people don't even know this, especially the climate cult. They think that the world's overpopulating and the CO2 emissions are just going to get worse. But they have no idea that every single nation in Western and Eastern civilization, with the exception of one continent, Africa, is in severe population decline. They have no idea. They have the climate cult. They have no idea that Japan is selling more adult diapers than baby diapers, and they're not the only country in that situation. They have no idea that China they're projected to be at around half their population, which is 500 million people in 2050. That's not even that far away. We are in massive population decline, and for those of you who think that's a good thing, it's not. because even in that decline, all throughout it, we are going to be senior heavy, which means so that there'll be half the population, but even the majority of that population will be seniors and preparing for it. They will not be, their productive days will have been past them. And when I say productive, I mean means of distribution, working, that sort of thing. Right? The necessary labor jobs that are out there that at some point, as I'm learning now, you start to get a little bit too old to do. But there won't be young people to fill in those gaps. It's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a disaster. But I appreciate you stopping by there, Wild. I missed you. All right. So I just want to get across, I guess, the main point and really tie this back to what we started with Convention of States, right? So since Chris and Sheila left the broadcast earlier, and we pivoted the conversation from Convention of States, we've talked about BlackRock, we've talked about their influence on corporate America, the fact that that all of this grooming of our children and all of these things that corporate America is participating in is literally happening because of a gun held to their head by BlackRock, and they're picking what they think are the lesser two evils until boycotts started being successful. Now they're starting to rethink it and wonder if ESG is not something that they want to blow off. And so that's a good thing, right? But the fact that there's a global force big enough to have that kind of friggin' power should disturb everyone, right? And now we got the WHO talking about their vaccine passports. There's no mention from them on the WEF website that they're going to be implementing this in the United States. They carefully stayed away from that language. However, right, they want to. They want to. And it's just, we see these things happening in the world around us. Right. And we also talked about that 40%. So we see these things happening in the world around us, and we want to just say, I want it to go away. If you're from my generation, you've ignored stuff like this for most of your life. And I will humbly admit that I was with you. Now, there was never really a day that I said I'm not into politics. I was into that very early in my life. However, I understood when people said, I don't do politics, I don't do politics. I always thought they were ignorant when they say that, because it was interesting to me always, because it's what's going on in our world. But it was acceptable. I didn't bash on them for saying that. I just figured, look, man, some people prefer their head in the sand, right? You make the Matrix analogy, like some people, they just rather stay plugged in. You unplug them, you show them the real world, and they're like, this sucks. I got freaking things all over my back. I got these outlets all over me. I got to eat this slop. I want back in. Plug me back in. Those people exist. Those people exist. But at the same time, now, today, with everything that's going on, those people cannot, they have to speak now. They have to speak. Because let me tell you, when you don't speak, when I say speak, I don't mean get on a podium and scream at the top of your lungs, although that could be effective. I don't mean start your own channel and yap about this stuff, a few times a week. That could be effective, but that's not even what I mean. What I mean is when someone tells you that you need to put a mask on when you stand up, take it off when you sit down, just don't put the mask on. Force them, right? Force them as a private owner to tell you, if you don't put it on when you stand up, you'll have to leave. Because once you sit down and order your food, nobody's telling you to leave. I've done this many times. And the owners don't care. They don't care. They're doing it because the Gestapo is forcing them to do it. And when you don't do it, and when the majority of their customers don't do it, and when all of that goes down, people start to see the idiocy in what's going on around them. The guy who wears his mask in his car alone, and yes, they're out there, they start to realize how stupid this is. And if everywhere they go, everybody is complying, and when someone speaks up, people who know that person is right are telling them to be quiet. If that happens, The mass formated, the crazy doo-doo-doos, they look at that and think, look, most people are with me. And they can't keep seeing that. They need to realize that they're insane. If they're out there telling people men can have babies, this is such ridiculous conversations that we're having today. What is a woman? Are you serious? Like, we have to have this conversation? How far descended from reality can somebody be that I have to now have a debate about what a woman is? All of that happens because of that 40%. All of that takes place because there's that 40% out there who are like, whatever, you want me to take this experimental drug? I'll take it. Just let me go to the grocery store and take off this mask. Oh, I took it. Okay, great. Wait, what? I still got to wear the mask? Oh, wait, what? I still got to stand 6 feet, can't go in the grocery store? What's going on? Like, stop it. No tyranny when you see it. Understand that it's there. Like, they've given, since 2020, there's been enough that they've put out there. There's been look, the vaccine mandates. You think they didn't know that was unconstitutional? The Constitution came through, but in the end, the time it took, and this is what they were playing on. And they do this a lot in the States with gun laws. They pass these laws that they know are going to get shot down. But how many people got vaccinated while that was waiting to get litigated? How many people? Million, 2 million, 3 million? And I don't even mean in total, because some people wanted to get vaccinated. But how many people that didn't want, like otherwise would not have gotten vaccinated, got vaccinated because their livelihood was put in jeopardy? Completely unconstitutional. And of course, it was judged that way in court. However, they still did it. And yeah, they had to stop doing it. But again, let's get a nice, let's give the movement a shot in the arm, if you will. Pun intended. And let's go ahead and start this unconstitutional mandate and see how many people we can scare into taking this drug. And all of that, they were all 40%ers, every one of them. Not every one of them. Some people were there were a lot of unique circumstances that went down with that. So I don't want to say every one of them. There are good people who are not those 40%ers who had no choice. Their own health conditions, they've got a child with issues, and the health care is, that they're getting from their job. Like, it wasn't even about telling the job to screw up. I understand there's a lot of other stuff, which just makes this even worse, though, does it not? It just makes it even worse. And when we look at all of these things that I've talked about after the intro, and we look at what we're actually living in and how we can stop it, like Donald Trump can't stop this. And I don't say that because it's Donald Trump. No president can stop this. Like we have to start looking. If we're not tackling the macro problems that everybody thinks is so big, like, it's great to boycott Bud Light. It sends a message. It's great to boycott Target. It sends a message. But that's not going to reel in the federal government. You follow me? There's no one you're going to elect there that's going to reel in the federal government, because the government itself is structurally broken. It's like sending good people into a collapsing house. These amendments that we're looking to get through on these topics, which, if you don't know, are term limits for all federal officials, not just elected. So none of this, we have term limits, they're elections. We're talking deep state. We're talking term limits on everybody in federal government. Right? With no one, fiscal restraints, that's the next one. Think balanced budget amendment. God willing, think repealing the 16th Amendment, which was unconstitutional for the entire beginning until it became an amendment. They had to get an amendment because no court would ever freaking allow it, because it was completely against everything we are. Set that clock back. You follow me? So that's fiscal restraints. And now we got government overreach. How far can we go with this? Mostly it's being talked about, at least by Cause Action. And for the record, I don't speak on their behalf. I tend to go off the rails sometimes with my own thoughts on things that we need to be looking at as the tyrants continue to proceed and new situations come up. but it's been mostly talked about in the way of regulatory agencies. Like, we're tired of CRT. Shut down the Board of Education, the Department of Education. What the hell is it there for anyway? There is nothing in the Constitution, per the 10th Amendment, that explicitly gives them the power to get involved in education, or anything really that any of these regulatory agencies are handling. They have the power to do none of that. You want that power? Get an amendment put in. But that ain't going to happen, because we're going to pass this, and it's going to put down the restrictions. And every one of these is a restrictive topic. There is no path for this to go in a way where they gain power. There's no way. There's no way. So, and what does that mean for you? What does that mean for the average person? What does that mean, for us watching at home? And I say me watching too, because I watch these different podcasts myself. And I listen to them, and it's not that I don't like them. It's just I listen to them because I'm hoping to get some little gem that I can then take further, because I always end up, most of my topics are things that I've heard somewhere that I had to go research myself, because the person who did, whatever the talk was, didn't really cover the stuff that was bothering me the most. They kind of gloss over stuff, and I'm like, whoa, what's that? And then I go back, dig it up. It's like that seminar I did a video on a couple of days ago, or a week or so ago. Bongino put it up. I like Bongino, but he did a quick skit of this one hit of that thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds like a creepy ass seminar. I had to watch the whole damn thing and do my own video, because I was like, there's got to be more to this creepiness than what was in that 30-second clip. And so I did. You can find that on any one of the platforms, except Twitch, because it's live only. But you follow my point, though, folks. So if we wonder what we can do, like, Article 5 is that thing we can do. Article 5 is that, and I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to do what you do on everything else that you see. Right? We're living in a world now. People who are watching this channel do their research. I get messages from people all the time, like, hey, what about, sometimes they're just, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? But a lot of times it's like, hey, look what I uncovered. Hey, look what I found. So I saw this video, and then I looked into it, and I found this video, and then I found this, and then I found this guy saying this. Like, there's people like that all the time on my message. On the channel's messenger on Facebook. All the time. I get that stuff. And I interact, and we go back and forth, and I check the stuff out. Like, there's no rabbit hole I won't go down. I don't believe all of them. Some of them turn out to be nonsense. But that's where the whole think tank comes in, right? Like they throw something to me, I give them my opinion back, they look into it further, then we rebut, and then we kind of come to a conclusion. Either I say, hey, maybe this is something I got to do a video on, or they say, you know what, you're right, this probably is clickbait. But one way or the other, that's how that is the only way to find truth today. That is it. That's the only way to find truth. And I know that most of my viewers do. So and that's why when I talk to you guys, I talk to you in a way that's like, I know you're going to do research. Why are you not researching Article 5? Like, why are you not looking up information? And I'll point it out to you. I'll give it to you. I'll give you the negative stuff, and then I'll give you the stuff. I'll give you the negative stuff first. I'll scare the living dickens out of you that the whole country is going to get taken over, and George Soros is going to be president of the United States, and the Second Amendment's going to get overturned, and it's all going to collapse, and we're all going to die. I'll give you all that stuff first. And then I'll give you the historical precedent and the common sense and the examples of the founders clearly talking about the importance of this, how it works, the examples that there are conventions, there's precedent for them. It's not this particular convention, but how a convention works is well documented in our historical documents. And when you look at both of those, you will sign the petition the next day. That day, that moment that you realize that the stuff you got in Cos University, or that I sent you, or whatever, wherever you're getting it, the stuff you read there, the Federalist paper that you read, Federalist Paper 40, showing you from Madison's own freaking pen that the original convention, the Constitutional Convention, was not a runaway convention. That everybody in that room, for the most part, absolutely felt. There were a few who were questioning it, but everybody in there felt like this was what their commission was. And so they did it. And why is it validated that they thought it was their commission? Because it was ratified. It's not like they walked out and said, here's what we will, it's not like they came down like it's the 10 Commandments. But why are we not engaged, right? Like, even if you live in California or one of these wackadoo states, there's still stuff you can do. Like, I started a channel. Like, there's stuff you can do. Educate others. Still get the petition signed. Still click the volunteer button. See what's going on in your area. See what's going on in your city. Because it goes down to district. I mean, that's how big the movement is at this point. There are district captains, and we're always, do you know how many districts there are in the country? Like, do you think the movement itself does not need leaders? I mean, of course it does. Every movement needs leaders. I don't know what districts where, out of the freaking hundreds, probably 1,000 or more, nation, not 1,000, that's probably overdoing it, but certainly hundreds across the country. Your district is going to give you a call, someone that lives near you. Because the only person that matters, and they don't teach us this because they don't want us to know this. Social studies was replaced by civics because they want you to think the president of the United States is the most powerful person in the country. They want you to think that the Congress is the most powerful thing in the country, or the Supreme Court is the final word. They want you to think that stuff. They keep calling it a democracy, even though we specifically tried to avoid a democracy when creating this country. How many times do you hear even Trump? Like, I highlighted him on that video I did about this is not a democracy. That intro where I was buzzing people for using the word democracy. Trump's on that list. Talking, we got to save our democracy. Bam. It's a constitutional republic, and nobody's exempt from the doo-doo stamp. It's a constitutional republic for a reason. We don't know that. Why? Because we didn't learn civics. That's why. Because they replaced it with social studies, which seemed nuanced at the moment. But now, looking back at defectors warning us about friggin', Alexander Solzhenitsyn, right? The author of the Gulag Archipelago, in his warning to the West speech, said clearly, beware those looking for finer shades of equality and social justice. They are trying to destroy your magnificent country. Right? I mean, Yuri, I got a t-shirt in the t-shirt store with Yuri on it saying Yuri was right. Yuri Bezmenov. They've been telling us this the whole way up the roll, and we didn't pay attention. And now we don't know civics. Generations and generations don't know civics. Everybody's calling this a democracy. These are the successes that they had. These are the successes that the freaking CCP has had, and the Soviets up until 1990, CCP picking it up after that. This is the success of ideological subversion. We have professors, we have universities now. When I was a kid, or when I was in college, this was the mid-90s, there were many Marxist professors in the college. Now, there are almost all Marxist professors in the college. It's like, if you want to love America, you got to run a gauntlet if you're trying to get a college degree today. I mean, it's just wild. But why? Because they want to make sure you don't understand that the legislatures are the most powerful, that it's your local dude. Your local guy in your district, that state legislature, right? The way this country is designed to work is that if you have a problem, you don't petition Congress. You go to your state legislature. You file your grievance with them. The 17th Amendment, another one I hope the overreach topic overturns. where they just straight took the power from the states and made friggin' senators directly elected by the people, which people were like, yeah, because that's democracy. Right back to the friggin' idiocy of the whole thing, isn't it? Isn't it better if I directly elect? No, it's not. Because now you elect him and then you find out that he's Mitt Romney or Liz Cheney and you want to get rid of him, but you can't do anything. Because the way it was designed was you're not really worried about electing a U.S. senator. Because if he gets out of line, your local guys will pull him. The entire thing was designed to be run from the ground up, not the other way around. And anyone trying to sell you differently is just lying to you. And no one knows this. I don't really care if DeSantis or Trump win. I care if whatever frickin' Antichrist the frickin' Democrats put on board wins. But whether it's Trump or DeSantis, this is what we're arguing about now. This is what's important. It's ridiculous. Neither one of them are making any of the monumental changes that are necessary to truly turn this country around. Only we can do that. But it's almost like people just don't want to. They don't. That's work. You mean I gotta write a letter to my local representative and actually talk to him? Like, it's so much easier to just sit on my couch and talk about how corrupt everybody is. But what you learn when you talk to your state senators and you talk to your state legislatures, as I have learned watching endless floor debates on convention of states and other local issues, is that these are regular dudes. They're not lifetime in office. There are some of these, what was it, New Hampshire? These guys make like $50 or something a year, $100 a year. The pay was set in like the 1700s and they never upped it. They're complete servants. Now, yeah, you do have the New Yorks and the Californias who have grown into these behemoths of state government, but they're the exception, not the rule. Most state legislatures are made up of regular people who do not want to be politicians for their whole life. They have businesses, they're employees, they have lives outside of that. And that's who the founders trusted. But yet we don't. How are you, Bluggets? And Leslie Pond comes on. How are you, Leslie? Says, you are correct. If you think back, when was the last time any of our leaders referred to America as a constitutional republic? They all call us a democracy. They all do. All of them. All of them. Even the most hardcore freaking right-wing, whatever the hell you want to, even everybody. You know who I couldn't, I don't want to turn this into, I keep sounding like I'm promoting DeSantis, but I couldn't find an example of DeSantis calling it a democracy. So I would like to ask the think tank out there and all the tankers as they see this, if you could go find me one, because I'm almost positive it's out there. I just couldn't find it. And then I found some doc of a speech that he did, but he didn't call it a constitutional republic, but he called it a federalist republic or so, which was still better than democracy. But I'm sure you'll find him making that mistake too. We've all made that mistake because it's our whole lives. It's been talked about as a democracy. Our whole lives. I don't think someone that calls it a democracy necessarily doesn't love the country. I think this is the ignorance that has been bestowed upon us, the failure of our education system for the last 70 years. And it was an intentional failure. Maybe not by the teacher who failed, but by those who are trying to make this happen. And now here we are, living in a world where no one understands the Constitution, no one understands the tools, and no one wants to know. Like, I could get over, I didn't know about Article 5, but for a few years ago, I mean, I knew what it was. I knew it was the article that you amend the Constitution. I had never put the whole Convention of States thing together in my head. But then I learned, right? Then I was out looking for information and I found some. And I didn't just find some, I found information that can absolutely turn this entire nation around. It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if you're in the America's a corporation camp, the founders were Freemasons, the Rothschilds are going to run it all, the Illuminati are going to get us, deep state is going to destroy us. It doesn't matter which of those camps you're in. Because the Constitution is what it is. It is what it is. We could literally, and I don't know if it would ever get ratified, but we could put an amendment in the Constitution saying all debts must be paid to the Fed, and once completed, the Fed will no longer no private institution will be allowed to manage government funds. We could do that. I don't think it'll get ratified. But when you look at the issues that we all agree on, and I don't know who disagrees with that even, but I'm sure it's easy enough to scare them out of freaking this. Who knows how easy it is to scare them out of that? But in the end, it's not. We've got something on the table that we can start really throwing some blows with. Like Trump winning or DeSantis winning in 2024, that's not throwing a blow. It's not. I hate to knock people off their high horse, but that's not throwing a blow. What's throwing a blow is actually something that we do that is a direct catalyst for change, massive change. Like Trump, DeSantis, they'll secure the border. maybe they'll be more in conflict with Xi Jinping than the left obviously will, since they're all in and Biden's actually on the freaking payroll. But are those things going to save the dollar? Are those things going to change the structure of Congress and the lifelong politician that sits in there? You follow me? These are the things that are really, these are those issues that when you change them, tons of things change beneath them. By nature, by rule. You pass a balanced budget amendment, you wipe out the 16th Amendment. Now there's no income tax. Economic growth is going to start. There will be a tariff, right? Because that's how it was designed to be. They will tax consumer goods, but you will take home all of your take-home pay. And the fact of the matter is, you can now control the taxes you pay. That's how it was designed to be. I mean, for the love of God, the amount of people that died just over the taxes issue, and now we sit here. I mean, every single thing you do from the moment you wake up has been taxed. The house you're in was taxed. The bed you bought was taxed. The sheets were taxed. The freaking, they tried to tax tea, and we started a revolutionary war. Your toothbrush is taxed. The toothpaste is taxed. The razor is taxed. You want to drive? You go downstairs, eat some breakfast. All the food was taxed. You go to friggin' all the prepared food was taxed. You get in your car, that was taxed. Got to get some gas, more tax. Finally get paid, so you can pay all these taxes, and even the pay is taxed. And we're talking about a country that went to friggin' war over a tea tax, over a stamp act. Really? How far have we fallen from liberty? It is imperative that we start to understand what our power is. And if you're hearing this right now, your next move is not to go to the website and sign that petition. I don't know what to say to you. If you're sitting there right now and you've heard from JBS, the JBS, or George Soros Common Cause, or the League of Women Voters, if one of these, Publius Hulda, if you heard from one of these freaking dootadoos that the whole world's going to collapse, then message me and let me know what it is that you think it's going to collapse and why. Because while people say nobody turns anybody in an internet conversation, an internet argument, I have been turning people on the regular for the simple reason is that the people that I'm talking to are valid, are rational human beings who, when presented with actual facts, believe them. I'm not talking to indoctrinated people. The people that question me about Convention of States are American patriots who are truly concerned for the welfare of their country, and they want to believe that Article 5 is the path, but they can't because they've been scared out of it. And what they need is just factual information, a book to read, right? Nadelson's got a phenomenal book out there. Oh, geez. If you look up Nadelson Article 5, you'll find it. But it's a phenomenal book, breaks down the entire history of it. Maybe one of my causers can help me out here with that book, even drop a link maybe in the comments. But like, educate yourself on it and go beyond that. And this is what the cause movement really has been, is that it doesn't stop at just, oh, let's learn about Convention of States and then be done. Like, they're active in all kinds of different movements. It's just regular folks, dude. It's just regular folks. It's not some dude in a tux, some fancy suit, a lot of charisma trying to tell you, but we can use one if we could find a patriot who fits that bill. Certainly, I guarantee you across the nation right now, if I tell you cause is looking for leadership, there will be districts all over the place like, we'd love to have more leadership. I don't know where those districts are. Some of them have phenomenal leadership now. I don't know where, that's a lot of districts though, folks. The odds of there not being some way you could help lead, or maybe you're not a natural born leader. Maybe you can just donate. Maybe you don't have money. Maybe you have time. Maybe you have no time, but you have the money. Maybe you have a skill that you could pitch in with. Whatever it is. We can't keep dealing with the Larry Finks of the world and the Xi Jinpings of the world and the freaking Klaus Schwabs of the world. And we can't keep dealing with them like just getting mad or like, trying to figure out what their next move is. If we get this passed, it doesn't matter what they're doing. It doesn't matter. If we amend the Constitution to force the federal government to balance the budget, you can bet it's going to make shockwaves. There are going to be a lot of freaking changes, folks, and all the adults in the room are going to have to stand up, because the reality of the matter is there are going to be cuts. And the American people can't sit around and be the same wishy-washy nonsense. You don't validate them by being like, if you cut my program, well, if you can't cut my program. Like, we need to start learning what liberty is again. We need to re-educate ourselves as to what it means to be free and non-dependent on government. Because there's hardly at this point a human being alive that will not get touched by that level of spending cuts. And if that scares you, what would you rather do? Would you rather have the whole thing just collapse? Would you rather just keep asking them to lie to you and tell you that everything's going to be okay? Is that what you want? Because that's not the kind of person we're really looking for. But it is the kind of person we need you. It's not the kind of person we're looking for. The kind of person we need you to be is the one who doesn't do that. The one who understands and acts like an adult and knows what it is to be an adult. All right, let me get through some of these comments, and then I'm going to break off to get. I'm sorry. Usually I put up more comments, folks, but I was kind of in heavy rant mode right there. But just make sure you get over. I don't even care about. I'd like you to go to www.thepatriotthinktank.com/COS. You'll find the links to the cause there, the petition, everything else. I just like them to know that they're coming from my channel. That's why I ask you to do it that way. But frankly, I don't make any money off the damn website anyway. You want to go straight to freaking, I don't care, conventionstates.com. You want to help me out? Go to mine first. There's actually some good information there. You'll probably find some links that will show you where your state is in the process. Links to the actual resolutions and things like that. There's quality stuff there. So, but do it now. Like, while you can leave me on the back burner and you can still hear me. You don't need to look at this ugly mug. Get it done now. All right. So let's see. Wait a minute. I got Myrn on here and I haven't even given her any love. Here it is. Guess who? Myrn, how are you? You missed, we had Chris and Sheila on to start the broadcast today, talking about COSFEST. So, but she's been working the polls, and you see what I mean? Mern's with Cos, right? So where is she doing? What's she doing with her time? She ain't got time to watch this until she's done taking care of the primary, because they got primaries in Jersey right now. This is how Cos people are. This is how Cos activists are, right? That's what it's all about. Good job, Mern. There it is. The people have the power. Let's see what else we got here. Leslie. Mern, I'm happy you joined. So, Leslie, you're correct. If you think back, when was that's just the same one I put in before. So, wow, I just missed Mern altogether. Went right past her. Sorry about that, Mern. Won't let it happen again. I got a lot of stuff up here now. So, we got Donald. Donald McClay says, "Hey guys, how are you, Donald? Hope you're still with us." And YouTubers. I'm surprised we actually got some viewers from YouTube today. Folks, if you're watching on YouTube, I highly recommend you go subscribe or follow the Rumble channel. I say that because, and I put a link in the description because I'm proactive. That's how I am. YouTube, we disappear. I say we, like I got a mouse in my pocket. It's me, but I disappear on YouTube, like literally just disappear. Like you'll be like, what happened to him? And then YouTube be like, you've gone for 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever they pick for violating this policy. And we're not going to tell you what you said to violate it. And then that's it. I can't talk to you. You think I left and it's over. All right. So this is the Rockefeller education system that's been at work for many decades. Yeah, but it's not like Rockefeller's behind the whole. This is what I'm saying. Like this is just a communist play, right? Like people like Rockefeller, like they're useful idiots, right? These are useful tools. It's just like Larry Fink now. Like these are just like he's just today's version of the useful idiot. Like the communist parties sell these people on ideas and then they bankroll them, and that's how this happens. And then they start to create the hippie things like the hippie generation, which was their first success of the anti-American, hate your flag, hate your country, love communism, love deaths of tens of millions of people, just really dumbing people down. The Maori have a chief who answers to and is the mouthpiece of the Hapu. I don't know of the people. Okay. So then they elect the chief of chiefs that will be our mouthpiece to speak out of one truth to the world. Much love. Yeah. Thank you, Sky. Yeah. I mean, look, one truth to the world sounds a little creepy to me, but I know what you meant. So I'm not going to go down that path. So folks, the book I was telling you about from Nadelson is The Law of Article 5. Thank you, Mern. I knew COS folks would come and save me on that one. I actually own the book, and I forgot the title. So The Law of Article 5 is a great read. This is one of those that turned over legislatures. All right, this is one of those that like people like there were reps in South Carolina, I remember, who were saying, like, and you hear this all the time, folks, from the state legislatures, right? Because they're people like us. They've lost civics too. They got their social studies dose as well. So we got to be patient with that, right? But the thing is, we also got to demand that they acknowledge it and read, because there are these organizations that are out there that are poisonous are literally all over these legislatures, and how the left organizes. You know how effective they are in their organizing. And they drop off all this misinformation. They scare the dickens out of someone. And at worst, they get them to punt. So, I mean, at worst, they get them to be adamant against it. At best, they get them to punt it. So, and if we're going to get this through, we got 19 states so far, damn it. We're more than halfway there. And really, Kansas should be number 20. I think it's this BS rule. We got a majority vote in both freaking chambers. But they got some rule from back in the abortion days that for Article 5 issues only, they need a supermajority. They're challenging it now. Let's hope that works out. All right. So let's see what else. Yeah. So Mern's a district captain out there in Jersey too. They're saying we need people to be part of the team. They're fun. And that's it, folks. Look, it's nice just to hang around rational people who aren't talking about their genders all day. You know what I mean? So like honestly, it is fun. It is fun. Donald says, back at you, George. Love to see you on, Donald. All my cos people are representing today. So Donald says, YouTube took down one of my videos retroactively for the C disease. Yeah, they took me down. So I was slick. I'll tell you a funny story. I was slick with the 2,000 Mules video. So because we were just coming off fresh off of suspension, and I still had the strike on me, and I'm careful about getting 2 strikes, because if I get 2 strikes, I just shut the YouTube channel down. So I try to be careful about, and that's another reason, folks, that if you're watching on YouTube, like sometimes I don't even add YouTube. If I know that I'm going to be talking about some hot topic, like I don't even add YouTube to the list, because Facebook, they won't shut you down. They just crush your distribution. But I have faith that my peeps will see, what I'm putting out there and be able to know, because normally, except for tonight where I came on Tuesday, it's pretty clockwork. Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Sorry, that would be bad, as I'm out here in the People's Republic of California. Every like clockwork every Wednesday, and then I'll put out 1, maybe 2 videos. I'm a one-man show at this point. My main man Jack had to get off on his career and get that off the ground, so he went his way, but Jack still jumps on from time to time. It might be overdue, actually, to have him on. But yeah, YouTube taking down a video, right? They took down my mules video. I put it up with a picture of a mule, and I said, a picture of a mule and Dinesh, and I said, guess what documentary we're talking about today? And I left it like that. And I got away with it for 17 weeks. Until the algorithm finally caught up with me, and out of the blue, like out of nowhere, they suspended me again. I was just like, what the hell? And I'm at the point now where, as of the last month and a half, those of you who watch all the time know, as of the last month and a half or so, I am adamantly trying to get the Rumble channel moving. And I stopped caring about YouTube somewhere around the 1,400, really around the 1,300 mark. We've been trickling subscribers on YouTube since then, but I'm really trying to develop this Rumble piece, and because eventually, when everyone else kicks me off or won't distribute me, I'll have Rumble to fall back on. So I've got all of my content on Rumble. It's developing as a platform. It's getting better. The app has certainly made strides. But the thing about Rumble is, when I go live or I post something, like, Rumble lets you know. Like right now, we've grown Rumble to about 641 people, it looks like. And when I'll put out a live video and it'll get 300 views. That same video on Facebook that has 16,000 followers, 16,000 whatever followers, that video might get 100, 200. So it's a game that these networks play, but I'm beholden to them right now because I don't have the money to buy my own channel. I'm not popular enough to just go start a Patreon and start charging people $3 or $4 for a month for a subscription. So I do this, and I kind of depend on you guys to follow and just, and hang with me, right? So I can because really the passion is about getting this message out. Like, Facebook monetized the channel, and then, I made like $800 the first month, and I only put out like 4 videos, right? But I made like $800 the first month, and then it was, they just put the stop at my distribution fell off a cliff. I even put one through that was starting to get distributed, and like it was slipping through the algorithm, I guess, because it got up to like 5,000-6,000 views and climbing, and then they were like, we're putting a freeze that we're not distributing ads on this video until we review it. And they waited for it to get to like 15,000, 20,000 views. And then it started to slow down. And then after it slowed down, they were like, oh, well, now we've reviewed it and we're comfortable. We're going to start putting ads on it. I was just like, I see what you did there. It's okay, because I ain't in it for the money anyway, Facebook. By the way, folks, I got on Facebook, for those of you who are there, or if you have a Facebook account, I started a group when we first started the channel, And I've never promoted it. I've never talked about it. I just kind of left it out there in the ether. I've never adminned it. I've never taken down someone's post. Facebook goes after them all the time. But I've just let them. They're like, oh, you're restricted now. I'm like, whatever. I'm restricted. Still not doing it. And so they restricted the group. And yet the group has still managed to grow to over 1,000 people. So what's good about it is, for me, is that, and I'm guessing Facebook may change this in the future, is you can do this at everyone. I guess you do it when you're the admin. I don't know if anybody can do it, but you do an at everyone, and it hits everyone in the group once a day with your post. So when I go live or things like that, I can hit at everyone, put it in there, and it goes. It at least 1,000 people get a notification, which is pretty cool, because Facebook has never given. I don't care if I have 16. I mean, I love all 16,000, but there's no way on earth they've sent invitations or alerts to 16,000 people. So Donald says he just signed up for the Rumble channel. Welcome to Truthland, my friend. And you'll notice too, Donald, that like people like Dan Bongino and if you follow Kim Iverson, who's the other guy, the British guy? He's a funny dude. He's got a Russell Brand. So like those guys, what they're doing now to troll YouTube, they do their show, they broadcast on both, and they're like 15 minutes in, right before they start talking about the real, they're like, well, you're gonna miss it if you stay on YouTube. We're headed over to Rumble. And then they cut it off on YouTube and stay on Rumble. I thought it was brilliant. I don't have the tech for that. I don't have a producer, but I just thought that was brilliant. I wish I did so I could do that, but I can't. So, and I still have respect for the 1,400 or so that we have on YouTube. So I don't want to go do anything down to them either. All right, here we go. You don't seem to be a natural media personality. You seem heavily medicated. Well, I am heavily medicated. And I'm not sure what you mean by a natural media personality, but that is very common from Twitch, though. I still stay on Twitch, though, even though it's like a leftist wasteland. But like, there are some rational people on there, and then there are people like this who just come on and give me Monsignor balls. Yeah, so I get compliments from people like Monsignor balls. But just to be fair, I put everybody up, right? But I'm going to have to end this soon because I got to get my medication. But there's one more. There's one more comment here. I still get notifications for every episode of yours. Awesome. Laugh a lot. I hope. Yeah, exactly. Because my own family doesn't get them. So that's awesome, Leslie, that you get them. So I'm glad, because like literally I have people telling me the wackiest stories about not being like, I can go on for days with it. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the broadcast. I apologize for sneaking up on you on Tuesday. As I said, I will not be on tomorrow, and I will not be on next week, because tomorrow night I actually fly out, and then I fly back in on Thursday from this long-awaited vacation. So I've got to get myself prepared and my ducks in a row and all that fun stuff so I can enjoy the time with my family. But until next time, folks, I appreciate all of you. Don't forget to follow. Don't forget to sign the petition. I'm out.
And like that,